Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. I am so happy that you're here today. I am honored to bring to you Michael A. Scarpati, who is the founder and CEO of US, a fintech platform disrupting today's financial planning with a better path to financial freedom. After spending a decade as an independent financial advisor, designing systems for high net worth individuals and corporate executives, Michael shifted his focus to making the independent fiduciary financial guidance more accessible. In 2022, he co founded RetireUS with the vision of blending technology with human relationships to make premium financial planning frictionless and affordable for anyone. Wow. Welcome, Michael. I am so glad to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here, Ida. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, indeed. Financial literacy. Oh my God. It is everybody's learning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
And the financial landscape is changing.
for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about the literacy side of things.
Yep.
So let me ask you, when you're working with your clients, because there's so much information out there, how do you know, give it to them in, I guess I want to say, a layman's term?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge for a lot of people when it comes to even taking a step in the right direction for the financial planning is the intimidation factor, right?
Yeah.
It is very intimidating. There's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of complex topics that you're going to get into when it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty of financial planning. And the literacy is just kind of that first step of understanding the terminology, understanding the context of the conversation so that we can then kind of build on it and take it to the next level.
Yes, absolutely. And everybody's understanding is at different levels because now
Yeah.
not only we have the traditional financial vehicles, we also have crypto,
Oh yeah.
which a lot of people don't understand. And it is just mind blowing for many. S-
Yeah.
So when you call your company FinTech platform,
Yep.
what does that mean?
So fintech platform is it's a fun industry way to say financial tech, right? So it's technology. We're really blending technology with human relationships. That's the core of Retire Us is we really want to make sure in this virtual world, as things get more and more disconnected from the human experience, that you can easily leverage that technology to build a human experience, build a human relationship with professionals that have your back, right? The fiduciary professionals are the highest designated professionals in the industry. And in a world right now where everything's kind of shifting to fully automated robo advisors, you're working regularly with robots at this
Yeah.
stage. We wanted to create a lane. We did a lot of market research, and about 85% of the consumer public still wants to work with people. They want to work with humans, right? And the platform is really meant to blend those two together, to leverage technology to make it really easy and frictionless, but create that connectivity so you feel seen, you feel heard, and you're talking with somebody that gets you and can help you really understand these complex topics in a simple, easy, digestible manner.
Yes, yes, indeed. And my correction, I pronounced the name of your company wrong with the opening. So,
You didn't. You didn't. I'll give you some grace. We pronounce it both ways. We pronounce it Retire US. We pronounce it Retire Us. We feel like there's kind of a fun connotation both ways, so we use them
uh,
interchangeably. So you were
okay,
spot on. Don't worry about
okay. I'm so happy because I messed it up.
it. No, you're all good.
Okay, so I'm liking that because I'm one of them 85%.
Yeah.
I talk to a human.
Right.
I get calls all day on my phone. It's like, hello, and then it's silence. And I already know it's a robot.
Yep.
And immediately they get hung up on
Yep.
because I don't want to talk to a robot. I think AI is a wonderful thing, but I think when it comes to that human connection, nothing is going to outdo that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. And that was really a big component of the platform. We see that, the vision for this is really to create accessibility to the best humans that are out there. The problem is, I mean, how familiar are you with just the financial planning industry and that fiduciary standard, that fiduciary term? Has that kind of hit your radar?
Yeah, it's somewhat. I think what I always remember from the commercials I hear is that you make money when we make money.
Yeah, and that's part of the equation sometimes. But what it really means, stripping away all the marketing jargon is, does the advisor legally have an obligation to give you advice that's in your best interest? And believe it or not, about 85% to 90% of licensed financial professionals have no obligation to do that. And yeah, it's crazy to think about, and I'll kind of tell you why it works this way. Basically, these independent fiduciaries, you kind of nailed it. Most of them are compensated by taking a percentage of assets that they manage. And so they make money when you make money. Well, guess what? They also make money when you lose money. Just to be clear, they're taking a percent regardless of what's happening. It's a
Okay.
fun, nice marketing way to spin it. But the reality is, because they're taking a percentage of what they manage, they get paid the same amount to work with someone that has $100,000 that has $1 million, or it takes them the same amount of work, I'm sorry, to work with someone that has $100,000 or someone that has $1 million. However, they get paid 10 times as much to work with someone that has $1 million. And so what happens is they create these investment minimums and they move up market. They only have so much time, they only have so much capacity. And so they tend to move up market, meaning they only work with people that have more and more assets that they can manage. And so the rest of the public gets left behind. Most of the financial professionals out there they don't work in this capacity. They work for an institution, right? They work for a big investment institution. The fiduciaries are the ones that are independent, but there's not a ton of them out there. And so as a result, they tend to work with more and more higher net worth, higher net worth. And then the vast majority of everybody else doesn't have any fiduciaries available to work for them. And so that's what the platform is really here to solve in a big way. It's a way to get access to these independent fiduciaries with no asset minimums and no need to move all of your savings over to them to get started in the planning process. We actually follow a subscription model instead to give everybody really cost-effective accessibility to that lane.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Thank
That's
you.
a good way to get away from the 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 standard. Let's put it that way. I like that.
Exactly. Yeah, we're really looking to shake things up. We feel like I've been in this industry for over 15 years now at this point, and you see there is a standard of quality that's different
Mhm.
on the independent fiduciary channel than what's really kind of the bulk of the advice that's out there, and it's because that independent fiduciary channel, the advisor works for you, right? They don't work for an investment institution, right? That you sign a contract with this person that is here to represent you, and then in the eyes of the law, they got to give you advice that's in your best interest. It's You can take them to court; they can lose their licenses over it. Whereas most of the professionals out there, they don't work for you. They work for an institution, right? The institution's the one writing the checks for them, and they're there, kind of the liaison between the two. And the advice suffers, the quality of advice suffers when
Mhm.
it's in that dynamic.
Yes, yes, and I like your approach. I really do,
Thank you.
and that's what people need. They need accountability.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that, unfortunately, in this country, accountability. ability is definitely not at the top of the list.
It's at an all-time low.
All time low.
It's at an all-time low. We could go down a rabbit hole there for sure.
Sure. And, in my world, accountability means something,
Same.
integrity means something.
Yes.
And I want to work with a company that I feel like they do have my best interest at heart.
Yeah. And most people do. And this is why I'm kind of on this big push right now. I'm trying to really connect with a ton of people to explain this message. Most people do not actually realize the way the industry works, that you do have to be cautious. You have to really do your due diligence when you're picking a professional to work with, because the way that the industry is structured, the vast majority, the sea of professionals out there don't have to have your best interest in mind. And it's just a scary thought. It should be the complete opposite, right? The fact
Yeah.
that only 15% have to work in your best interest is an inversion of what should be the case. It should be everybody should have to work in your best interest, right? And
Yeah.
if there's a small percentage that don't, we'd go, okay, well, at least it's a small percentage. But this is, it's really the majority that fall into this bucket. And so go back into the fintech, to go back to the fintech component, that's what we really built with the technology. With the technology, we've created ways for these advisors to essentially 10x their output, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of the tasks that they have to do in a client relationship, which absorbs a ton of time, it takes about 35 hours on average for a financial professional to work with one new client in a year. And so what we've been able to do with the platform is through operational efficiencies, automations, things like artificial intelligence, we've been able to really reduce that amount of time that the professionals need to spend doing kind of mundane tasks that are required in the financial planning process. And it
Mhm.
allows them to see many more clients, right? And so now, because of that, they don't need to have these big asset minimums, because they can see so many more people and help so many more families, and essentially keep the same, time capacity requirement for their business.
That's amazing. So, if clients want to work with you, how do they do so?
So you just go to retire.us. We actually have a free financial checkpoint, and this is kind of the first step in really taking you from financial literacy to financial, what we call it, financial consciousness, right?
Mhm.
Financial literacy, there's a big difference. And financial literacy is the starting point. Understanding the terminology, understanding, what different accounts mean and how they operate. Financial consciousness is really changing your awareness on what makes sense, what's right for you, what are the tools that you should be using, right? There's plenty of people that are financially literate and still broke. You can know all the right terms and still have no real plan, right? You can have all of the accounts, but have no real accountability on what those accounts need to be doing for you to successfully hit your goals. And so, Retire US is all about bringing more and more awareness to the things that you should be doing, right? The things that you should be adding into the equation with your financial situation, whether that's from the current situation to your risk management, your insurances, your short-term goals, your retirement, your taxes, your legacy. All of these things should really be communicating and working together, and we should be making decisions with intent, so that the things that we do with our current situation are positively impacting our retirement, but also potentially our taxes and our legacy. And that's what RetireUS is really about. So you go to the website, retire.us, we have a free financial checkpoint. That's the first step. It only takes about 4 minutes, and it's a multiple choice question, really easy, really user friendly. But what it's going to do is give you a diagnosis. It'll give you an understanding and an awareness now of what are the current, we call them financial red flags. What are the things that are kind of in your way, or areas that you're not currently addressing that we should be starting to think a little bit more about. And then it'll give you some data on your retirement pacing, your tax planning, and your overall risks.
Okay. Now, do you provide guide your clients to different products? Let's say bonds. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Uh,
Yep.
things like that that they can capitalize on?
Yeah, it's a really great question. And so this is the X factor of the platform. There's really two major types of fiduciary financial professionals you can work with. One is operating in products and they manage those products. The second are building what we call systems. So systems are more kind of behavioral processes, how all the components of your financial life should be working together. And then the product should really be supplementing those systems, right? If that makes sense. So there's kind of two ways that you approach it. The unfortunate reality is that the systems-based financial professionals, those fiduciaries, they don't manage money. They and that way they bill on a flat fee on a retainer, kind of like an attorney. So it's very expensive traditionally to work with those types of professionals. It's five, $10,000 a year out of pocket. You kind of pay for them like a retainer for an attorney. And unfortunately, because that most people don't really generally get much exposure to it. And so what the platform does is it actually pairs you with two different types of fiduciary professionals. One is the one that's going to build you out the systems. They're going to put together the frameworks and the roadmap of how all of these things in your financial life should be communicating and working together, and how your behavior, your process should work on a regular basis of how you're saving, where you're saving, how accounts are interacting with one another, how that's going to impact your taxes, that sort of thing. And from there, once you have that framework, then the independent fiduciaries have what's called an open architecture for products. So they're not tied to any institution specifically that serves only one type of products, but bonds, mutual funds, structured products, insurances, annuities, even institutional strategies, private placements. There's all sorts of things when you have an open architecture that can really be game changers for you. But what we want to do is make sure that it fits in the system that you need, right? So the systems come first. We build those systems and then we fill those systems with the products that make sense.
Oh, well, I really like that approach.
Thank you.
I really do, because sometimes, I mean, we don't know where we fit.
Yeah, most people don't. I mean, it's the most people's experience with financial planning or financial professionals is really product professionals, right? It's very much around the products. It's these mutual funds, these annuities, these insurances, these stocks, these bonds, and there's tremendous value there. But it kind of goes back to that first thing about accountability. How do we hold those products accountable and know what we need for them if we don't have a true system and a roadmap, right? And that's the financial consciousness component. Financial literacy, you can go in there and have all sorts of products, but have no idea what you actually need them to be doing for you. Financial consciousness is when we start to build out the system, build out the awareness of what the products we need from them, what they need to be doing for us to be successful. And then it gives us a very clear lens of accountability. Are they doing what we need? And if not, we need to make some changes, right? So it becomes very clear.
Wow. So, and I know that has a lot to do with age, because if somebody comes to you, a younger person, then they have a little bit more time uh,
Yep.
to build. But what happens when you get an older individual who pretty much got more years behind them than in front of them? How does that typically work?
Well, there's a moment in everyone's life where creating financial freedom is within reach. And most people miss it because they don't know what it looks like. And that moment is relative to every person. But I'll explain what I mean. If you've done the work, it doesn't matter of your age. If you've done the work to understand what you need to retire, you also then know some of these other components that go into that equation. You know how much you need to be saving each year to stay on pace. You know what your investments need to be doing. And this starts to shift your money decision making, right? So now all of a sudden we're looking at things a little bit differently. Now maybe you save a little bit more of the bonus to put yourself more on track, or maybe you don't waste the money on the restaurant bills or the bar tabs or the frivolous spending as much, and you begin to master the timeline you're living in versus just being kind of another human in the rat race. And so it all kind of comes down to, regardless of age, it's really understanding the bigger picture. It's we actually start at the end if you're 30 or if you're 50 or if you're 70. You're actually starting at all roads lead to retirement, right? All roads lead to retirement. And so
Yeah.
we need to start there. That becomes the focal point that we plan around, and we can reverse engineer all the rest to give you the awareness of what it will take to create that financial freedom.
Okay. Because most people, 401ks, job driven.
Yep.
And what I've learned being in corporate America is when you go to the meetings, the people that are presenting really don't even have a clue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is financial freedom doesn't come from necessarily knowing more. It comes from seeing the game clearly and playing it differently, right? That's the thing. And so it's all individualized for our experience. You know, your retirement lifestyle and your means to get to that retirement lifestyle are going to be dramatically different from the next person, from the next person, from the next person. And what we want to do is we want to stop chasing wealth. We want to start designing it, right? And that's a very different mentality where we're just arbitrarily saving. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. We want to at least start saving and socking money away. This is about how do we take that to the next level, to give that purpose, to give that intent, to give that true clarity of where it's going to lead us and at what point, so that we can feel confident in that in those decisions that we're making.
Michael, I have never ever heard it put this way.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that a shame?
It really is. And,
Yes, isn't that a shame?
it's a lot to simmer on
Yeah.
because we've been programmed products
Yes.
pretty much.
This is the shift that we're here to make, right? This is the shift that we're here to make because that is what we've all been taught for decades and decades. And you know why? Because that's where the money is.
Yes.
Right? That's where the advertising dollars flow towards. It's products, products, products. And that's not to say that products aren't valuable. They're needed. You can't get to the destination without the vehicle, right? You need the
Right.
car to get there. But what's the right car for you? What's the right gas mileage, right? What's the right cost for you to even have that car, right? All these vehicles have fees. And so it's just that it's putting the cart before the horse, but that's what we were taught. And that's what will continue to be in the zeitgeist is products, 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 because that's where the institutions make the money. That's the objective. And we still want to use them, but why, right? What's the why behind the product? That's where we're trying to get to. That's what Retire US helps everybody find first. And then it opens up the box so that without any asset minimums, you can go get investment products that the multimillionaires have access to because we're going through that open architecture fiduciary lane to help you support that.
That is so wonderful. I mean, I'm going to be simmering on this all the rest of the day because now I've got to reprogram
Yeah.
and everybody else is going to have to reprogram
Yep.
because this is very important. It's very deep.
Yeah.
And, it's like undoing myths, so to speak.
Without a doubt, we have to unlearn a lot of our belief systems about the proper way to manage money and how we use it as a tool, right? These things are just tools, but what we've been taught is all there are out there are hammers and screwdrivers, and there's a million other things out there. And a lot of times those tools aren't appropriate at the end of the day, but it's just all we know, right? And we don't know what we don't know as a society right now when it comes to financial consciousness, right? Financial awareness and the things that we can be doing. And that's what this mission is really all about. It's everybody does have this opportunity to create financial freedom. Now that how we define that varies from person to person,
Mhm.
but there needs to be a clear understanding of how to work within the means that you have, what tools are right for you, and ultimately how that should work together in the bigger picture of where we're headed, right? In order to get there successfully. And With Retire Us, that's, it's a really good first step. Our plans are very cost effective, right? Instead of you needing hundreds of thousands of dollars or 10,000, $5,000 a year, our plans start as low as 59.95 a month. So you can start at basically $60 a month. And if you generally the services happen over the course of a year, so we offer a very steep discount, 33% to start if you pay annually. So you get a really deep discount under $500 for the course of the year, which in today's world is probably 2 trips to the grocery store. And you can have this roadmap completely laid out for you, get real clear on what retirement's going to cost you, what you need to have saved, how to get there effectively, how it's going to impact, things in the short term, and ultimately how what products and what vehicles then are right for you.
Wow. And then once that roadmap is established, and let's say you have your map, but you're not quite ready to begin to implement it. But at least you have something that you can work with to start planning.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's no requirements to do anything other than upload your data so that we can do the work and do the analysis and build out the roadmap for you. And for some people, you're not going to be in a position where you can make dramatic changes now. If all of your money's in the 401k, unless you're over 59 and a half, it's probably stuck there, right? 59 and a half opens up a doorway called an in-service rollover where you can privatize those 401k dollars and start to really open up the box with how you can invest it. But prior to that, generally it's the 10 to 15 fund menu that the 401k provider is offering you. And that may be, all we have access to at the moment, but how we rebalance that 401k, right? How much we save into it. Are we maxing it out? Are we saving into the Roth component of that 401k versus the traditional? There's so many nuanced little decisions that we can make that move the needle, right? And it's all about adding more of them, stacking more and more of that stuff in our favor so that the end goal becomes easier and easier to hit over time.
Yes, and I like that because I'm one of them people. I have to have a plan.
Yeah,
I
same.
can't do nothing on the fly. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I have a project and it's going to cost a lot of money, I need to have numbers
Yeah,
in my head already. Okay, if it's going to cost $40,000, then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do to get to that $40,000?
yep,
And that works best for me because I can't, I got to know where it's coming from.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? I
You're not
just,
alone. Most people really do operate that way in most facets of their life, except their own financial planning. When they're actually planning for something like their retirement, right? A lot of it is just happening on the fly, and we're just saving. I'm gonna just save as much as I can. It's the most I can. It's as much as I can save, so I'm just gonna save it. And that's that's true. And what if it's saved in a tax-free position versus a tax-deferred position? How does that change things? What if it's earning 6% of growth versus 7%? Or what if it's exposed to more risk and the stock market crashes and it takes us back, right? Historically, it takes 2 to 3 years to become whole after a stock market crash. So if that's the case, if we're taking these risks and they're unnecessary, how does that potentially push back the retirement? So all these little things, you can continue to zoom into the details and zoom into the details with this stuff if you want to. Most people just aren't educated around it to do it. That's why there's a profession. That's why these financial planners exist, is because this is what they live and breathe and love. And, are the trusted confidants that are there to help you understand what those small nuanced things you can do to compound things in your favor.
yes, yes, indeed. So I am glad we met because I'm making
Yeah,
some decisions right now. And God will always bring you what you need when you need it.
absolutely.
And there's so much noise out there.
Oh
So
my
much
God.
noise.
It's mostly noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't know who to trust.
Yeah, and That makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, intuitively, it's funny, but it's not funny, but it's sad. It's
Yes,
a
it
better word.
really is.
It's sad that, intuitively people feel that. Intuitively, people feel that they cannot trust the financial professionals that are out there, and they're right. Right? They're right. And it's not because the financial professionals necessarily are doing anything nefarious. It's because of that fiduciary standard, right? It's because intuitively we know that they're actually incentivized to push these products versus put together a real comprehensive plan for me that is in my best interest. And intuitively as humans, we know it without fully maybe understanding all the details of why, but you hear that a lot. That's the biggest reason why people do not seek financial advice is because they don't know who to trust. And that's one of the big objectives that we're solving with the platform is connecting you with independent fiduciary professionals takes that off the table because they legally have to give you advice that's in your best interest without these conflicts of interest jumping in and kind of distorting the advice.
Yes. So, Michael, again, how do we connect?
Retire.us, and you can go on there. The financial checkpoint is free, right? It's free to get started. That will diagnose and give you some context of what are things that maybe would be helpful to dive a little bit deeper into. It'll also recommend a subscription tier for you based off of that information. And then it's really super easy to get started. If you're ready to go, you choose a plan. It takes 10 to 15 minutes is all it takes to get your information on the platform and you're ready to meet with a professional.
Wow. And I love the affordability
Yeah.
piece of it because now with pricing modules, with everything going on in the world, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
you really got to be, as a business owner, you've got to price your products now for not for, I guess, longevity
Yeah.
thing. Be-
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like you said earlier, food is like tripled and
Crazy.
it's going crazy. It's like the things that we have to have is well overpriced.
Yeah.
So when there's extra things that you need to have, they need to be priced so that they can fit in with the needs. So I like the idea that your pricing is affordable, which
Yeah.
is a big thing. And what you're doing is so important, to say
Yeah.
the
Thank you.
least. And I take my hat off to you because it's not too many folks out here. Like I said, you're my first. I've never had finances explained or dealt with in this manner. So I thank you for what you do already.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, I mean that's what we're here for. We're a mission-driven company. We've been in this industry long enough to see that it's sad to say that there's an underserved market, and that underserved market represents 98% of Americans.
Yes, you're
And
so
that's what we're here
right.
to serve.
You're so right. Wow. So thank you, Michael, for taking time out of your day.
My
You have
pleasure.
dropped so many gems on us today. You have definitely, I have to undo my learning now
Yeah.
as a result of the information that you shared.
Well, I'm glad that I could be a catalyst to help serve and support. And any questions that you have or any of your audience has, feel free to jump onto the platform. The good thing about the platform too is you can create a free account, and it also gives you access once you get onto the actual platform itself. There's a messaging function. You can kind of ask questions to our team at at your leisure and ease to get the answers that you're looking for. So we're here to help. We're here to serve. We're really happy to be here speaking with you too and getting this message out.
Absolutely. Thank you so, so much. And audience, thank you too. I appreciate you as well. Wow.